We're back on the X52 podcast. It is Thursday evening, August 7th. Wow. Catch myself there.
7.
7. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined by On to 2026 Arditti. How we doing today, pal?
We're good. We're right into the I guess we're back. We're fully back into the like football is back, yada yada yada. I still don't consider football being back, but that's just
it's not, but we're microdosing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all right with a little bit. I haven't watched Hard Knocks yet and all that, so I haven't fully wrapped myself up in the.
I've heard not good things so far.
Yeah, but I'm a sucker.
I've been a little out on Hard Knocks for years now. So
yeah, it takes. I don't know. Like I like Josh Allen. I know I'm obviously different than a lot of our listeners and clientele.
I like him. Listen, I like him. I'm sure a lot of our clientele think he seems like a nice guy, but there is a big time suck fest with him, and that's all that Hard Knocks is going to be. And I don't have to opt into that.
No, you don't have to. That is your right as a red-blooded American. But I don't. Again, like he's a guy who like I'll watch it. Like I've been watching Quarterback at night. I love Quarterback. Quarterback's great. Like I love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is fantastic in Quarterback, and Goff is good, and Kirk Cousins is just such a goofy fucking guy. So I like anything, any of the like mic'd up behind the scenes, all that stuff. I absolutely eat it up. So
is Joe Burrow just like legitimately nothing like the person his like media team has built him up to be? He feels like a guy who's like maybe a little on the nerdy side, a little more reserved, and it's like, oh, I see Joe Burrow, like he's going to the Paris Fashion Week with the backless suit. It's like, is that really who he is? Like
they talk about that a lot in it, and his parents are like, he always loved how he dressed. Like he had to make sure he was dressed so good when he was younger, and like. Yeah, they talked about the Fashion Week and all that. I don't know. I like him. He's only ripped my heart out in the playoffs once. Well, I guess that was that wasn't really him, but that was Ryan Tannehill throwing 3 interceptions on my birthday. But I don't know. I like him.
You could say he's done that to me once, but that was more Tyler Huntley and Sam Hubbard.
Yeah.
I really don't have all that much against Burrow. I think he seems cool and all, but again, he's another. It seems like there's a little bit of a media contrivance as to who he actually is versus like what they like want, what people want him to be. I don't know.
And I get it. I fully understand why folks around here don't want to watch, Joe Burrow or Josh Allen. Like I get it. I wouldn't, back 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have wanted to watch a Peyton Manning thing, or I guess that's more than 15 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah,
20 years ago,
It'd be angsty luck now.
Yeah. That guy ripped my face off many a times, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. Orioles have had a lot of day games. Well, it was just the Wrigley weekend and then yesterday, but a lot of weird day games. So been keeping myself busy with that at night. So, but
yeah. Speaking of which, Orioles went up to Philly and they had themselves a little series with the Phillies. One which I really did not tune in much for. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been, they've checked out on this season after the deadline. We did that pod with me and Spenny kind of breaking it all down. I think you guys let out some frustrations on the fan base. I let out some frustrations on the front office as well as the fan base. I think we're kind of all relatively in the same spot here, but where we're definitely in the same spot is, man, this is going to be an interesting 2 months here where for I think the next couple of weeks in particular, it's not going to be all that watchable of a product, I don't think, especially without Laureano and O'Hearn in the lineup, and then obviously some supplemental pieces have gone as well. But man, I think until Dylan Beavers and until Samuel Basayo are up here with the big club, I'm just like, I'll definitely be tuning in. I think this was more of an anomaly, just not being able to catch some of this past series and the Cub series, but man, it's not going to be fun to watch, I don't think, and that is reflected in a series in which they go out there. They lose the first game 13-3, second game 5-0, salvage it with a 5-1 win yesterday. But overall, I mean, those are just two teams in very different places right now competitively.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that all over baseball. We've been talking about that. There's like 2.5, maybe 3 good teams. Like no fan base except for like the Red Sox, the Phillies, and like the Blue Jays are having fun right now. Everyone else is miserable. I talked about it with somebody on Twitter. I forget who. Maybe it was Avi, but I was like, every team's lineup sucks. Their manager sucks. Their GM sucks. They don't know what they're doing. It's insane that they could put out this lineup, and every front office needs to get their stuff in check. That just seems to be the everyone in baseball is doing. The Mets, I mean, if you tune into Mets Twitter, I mean, they were getting no hit into the ninth yesterday, and then Juan Soto hits a home run, and then I have half my timeline is debating on if Juan Soto should have smiled after he hit the home run and why he's an asshole for doing it. So it's just it's not just the Orioles that are miserable right now. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the Orioles are 9 or 10 games under. I don't blame anyone for not tuning in or being like, I can't catch this game. I'll look at the highlights tomorrow. That's perfectly fine. Again, we know what this season is. It's a lost season for everyone. It's like, I still have people who are like, oh, season's not over. It's like, no, this season is done with. Like, again, I am about I will drink as much orange Kool-Aid. I waterboard myself with that orange Kool-Aid sometimes. And it's perfectly okay to be like, it's there. This year is going nowhere. I think we've known that for a while. So again, if you have to tune out, tune out. But again, I watched the 13-3 game. I think I watched up until they took Povich out. And then I was like, the bullpen is going to be the hard part to watch. You talked about the lineup and all that. I think the lineup is still fine for the most part. But brother, is that bullpen? You truly don't know who is coming in, who they are, what they have in their bag. It's an interesting time.
That's where I'm like, man, some of these names, they're calling up Rico Garcia, and you've got Alex Jackson roaming out there, and Laureano in O'Hearn spot in right field, and he's I'm seeing a couple blunders on the timeline from him, and it's just man, like I said, until Beavers gets up here and he's holding down that spot, and until Basayo gets up here, and we'll see what they kind of do with him as far as splitting it with Adley. If he does, I mean, listen, we don't know. I would assume they will, though. It just feels like they're completely the team that time forgot a little bit until that happens. They're just kind of floating in the ether for me.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And also, so I think August 15th is the day that they can bring up Basayo and Beavers and not have to worry about the accruing a year of service time. So naturally, we're going to be off the grid and in Milwaukee when they get called up, and we're going to miss that whole, we're going to be sitting at a wedding ceremony, tracking it on Twitter, all the hubbub. But yeah, and again, that's what's going to happen. And we'll go back to the conversation. Beavers had 2 games in a row with 2 home runs. Basayo is hitting a home run every single night. It seems like his OPS is over 1,000. He's raking, and you'll still have the people who are like, why aren't we bringing them up? What are we doing? And it's if you're still questioning that, you don't know how the front office works. Then we've been going over this for 6-7 years now. They're not going to waste 2 weeks of them being like, oh, well, they can get good at bats now to lose a year of service, or to mess up the service time stuff and mess up the rookie of the year stuff next year. So that's where it's
you're totally right about all of that. They're doing the right thing, but
it sucks.
The fact that we're having this conversation, once again, I'm going to go back to I keep going back to this. The fact that this year happened the way that it did is why people are frustrated. That is all it is.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I tweeted it the other night, and I was like, I understand why. I fully get it. I don't really support it, but I get it. But I'm like, it's legitimately laugh out loud funny that both Beavers and Basayo are this hot right now. And you have the quote from Manzolino being like, oh yeah, we are, I think it was Elias who was like, we're waiting on Samuel Basayo to knock down the door, fully knock it down. And every night he's just fully just knocking on it. And they're like,
Jack Nicholson, the fire axe and The Shining, just absolute here's Johnny situation.
Yep.
And here's the thing, guess who else was doing that about a year ago at this time? Kobe Mayo, who's just now started. He's looking pretty good right now. I'll give him that, credit, but it's taken a calendar year and he's been up and down. And it's happened before. It took Adley a little while. It took Gunnar some time.
Yep.
Jackson. I mean, we all saw what happened with Jackson very publicly. It's as much as these guys are raking right now. And yeah, I do want to see him come up as soon as possible at this point, you absolutely should service time manipulate them if you want to be smart. So I'm good with it, but it's just A, it sucks that we're in this position, and B, I'm not expecting them to be key contributors even when they do get up. So that sucks too. But hopefully they prove me wrong.
Yeah. No, I'm with you again. It's not like Dylan Beavers is going to come up and really save the season, and we're going to remember this as the great when they said fuck it, let's win 20 in a month. Like Beavers and Basayo are not leading that charge, and that's fine. Like again, we'll see them.
Though, if like the last 20 games of the season they're mathematically eliminated, and then they go on Spenny's 20-game run,
like a 16-4 run, maybe like a 17-3. They
get mathematically eliminated, and then the day after that they never lose a game the rest of the way. That's kind of what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, we talked about it, but like go out and be that team that messes up. Mess up somebody's season, like pull a 2011, go all 2011 on their ass. And
we saw with Toronto recently, there were some Blue Jay fans crashing out a little bit. I know you in particular had a bit of an experience with some of them. Yeah,
my DMs are still filled with some crazy Northerners who are not happy that the Orioles beat them 3 out of 4. But no, yeah, it's a frustrating time. I still think like obviously go out to the ballpark if you can. Like I'll be out there Saturday for the Orioles Hall of Fame game. Like you can still go and have fun and we'll talk about ticket sales and season tickets and all that nonsense another time.
I was going to say, do you want to get into it? Because that's kind of a hot topic today.
I kind of stayed out of it. I don't have season tickets. I won't have season tickets, unless somebody wants to finance it for me. It's not going to bother me. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. So I'm not telling you how to spend your money and how not to. I'll leave it at that. Like I know Brian and his family have season tickets, and I have a couple other friends who do, but it's not messing me up at all. It's not, they're not forcing me to go from 13 to 20 or 20 to 9 to 40 or whatever. So my opinion does not count on this whatsoever. So yes, I understand where people are coming from. I also,
it was like the packages, like 13 and 29 are the current packages, going up to 20 from 13 and 40 from 29. This is from Jeff Barker of the Sun, saying the Orioles are overhauling their offerings next season, and they say it will provide more flexibility, but cost on average is 3% more. And then JCM followed that up with a quote tweet. In Jeff's story about this, Katie Griggs justified the 3% price increase of season tickets by saying it's in line with inflation. Quote, if you look at all the tickets on a per game basis, the increase year over year is roughly the rate of inflation, which is kind of true, but inflation's at 2.67 right now. Not that I'm keeping track. Needless to say, I won't be getting these season tickets either. I was not in position to be able to do that anyway. But like just looking at this and the reaction from a lot of people, it's like, yeah, man, it just goes part and parcel with like, when are we going to see an investment when are we going to see an acknowledgement that the players are the product? Like the ballpark is not the product. Like the concessions are not the product. The speakers are not the product. The in-game service, music and all that. It's not the product. It's good to like bring in some new fans probably in some ways, but overall, like the product on the field is what we're worried about. And continuing to do this stuff, unfortunately, like, listen, they have to do it. Katie Griggs has to say all this stuff. I get it, but it's just like, it's poorly timed and kind of, a little tone deaf. But yeah, it's avoidable. I'm not sure.
It's a big time read the room thing. But also, like, I mean, every sports team does this. Like, I'm sure if you go back and look at when the Lions went winless and when the Browns went, like, what did they go 1-15 or whatever? I'm sure they raised season ticket prices out. That's what happens. Like, look around. Everything is so much more expensive. But
the Ravens do it every year. The Ravens do it every year. And like they're adding all these, luxury things that I'm not super hot about, but it's like, you know what? They've earned that right. I'm not going to complain about it with them. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm. Well, I actually still will. That's a lie. I do complain about it with them, but
I did see somebody, I don't know her name. Morgan. It's like ADIST or something. I think she's Fox or something like that. Yeah. She tweeted out like the end zone seats today and was like, they're pricey, but man, are these going to be good seats? And I like right away, I was like, no, they're not. Those seats are all like, you're going to be close, but you're not going to be able to see anything. Like those seats are awful.
I was talking to Spenny. I was playing golf with Spenny last week, and he was, I think his mom was like looking into this package that was like $500 per game to go into a room like below the seating where you can't actually see the field. $500.
Well, yeah,
it's just like a suite where you watch on television.
Yeah. It's again, but that's you look at again, we've talked about it with they're moving the press box, they're moving everything, they're doing all this. That's where sports is going now. Sports, it's you're not getting a ticket at Memorial Stadium for a quarter and bringing in a cooler anymore. Like that, those days are way, way, way gone. So again, people complaining about the like, well, we don't need to upgrade this or we don't need to do this. Yes, you do, because that's where all sports are going now. Like that's what's going to happen everywhere. I mean, it's inevitable. It's just what's happening. So, but I'm with you. The product is on the field, and that's all we really care about. Again, you sign these guys to extensions, you win a World Series, I'll pay $30 for a hot dog. I do not care, just you just make it work and improve the product on the field. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is looking forward to that offseason and who are we circling for, free agency and trades and, stuff like that. So yeah, what are we doing to impact on the field? And then I'll worry about off the field. Like I said, I'm never going to eat in the luxury press box restaurant, prime rib and, Dom Perignon or anything like that. But, I fully understand why they're doing it. It's not for us. They're pricing out us cheap jamokes and, business. They want the businessmen in suits.
And it all makes sense. And I was talking to someone who covers the team about all of this, and it was just like, listen, yeah, it's literally just all PR and optics. Like if they had invested a little bit more wisely, because like we talked about, they have invested, but it's just been like Morton here and Kimbrel there. And yeah, the Burns for a year, that was awesome, but then he walks. It's like, if they just figure out how to invest more wisely, and they specifically said, like, from what they've heard, like there is good reason to believe that they will be a lot more aggressive this offseason, which is good. And specifically mentioning the idea of like getting 2 number 2 or number 3 type starters to supplement a rotation, which we'll get into, is probably going to start the season without Grayson Rodriguez next year. I guess we'll see, but that'll be a little bit healthier, and a young core that's going to come back a little bit healthier and hopefully ready to get all on the same page. Like it's all, as Booney would say, it's all right in front of you. You just got to go get it. But yeah, for right now, we're just going to have to ride out that wave. And like we keep saying, all the way towards the offseason, which is probably the most crucial in franchise history, at least for a very long time.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, you're spot on. And again, it's like, it sucks that we're having this conversation. It's August and we're talking about like season ticket prices, like being raised. I wish we could talk about like playoff invoices being sent out and stuff like that, but that's.
Well, I think what we should do, the real hot story in the news is Savannah Bananas outpacing the Orioles in attendance big time.
The amount of people that I saw today being like, well, the Bananas do this. Why don't we follow that? No, stop. Like, stop that. Stop that right now, because that is not the same thing at all. Okay. Like, that was just crazy. I saw people being like, maybe they should take a page out of the Bananas book. No, stop this right now. It's crazy. But yes, I'm not doing it. I know what you're setting me up for. I'm not doing it.
These Gen Z TikTokers.
Next thing you know, you're going to ask me about women on the sideline in purses.
Yeah,
I'm not going there.
Yeah, shout out to our guy Gary Coleman. He's had a banner couple of weeks here. But yeah, I mean, listen, shout out to these Gen Z TikTokers. I mean, Rob Manfred he's shown he can be pretty experimental. You got the Manfred man, you got the pitch clock. Who knows? Maybe you guys are going to have to do backflips before they throw a pitch out now.
I do like the rule that the Bananas have, where after a walk, every player has to touch it, and the guy can run around until they all touch the ball.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I really haven't sat down and dedicated watching a second of anything Savannah Bananas. So I'm not maybe as vehemently opposed to it as some people, but it's just like totally like, you know what? It's like Dude Perfect. Great for some, not for me.
Yep, absolutely. We're not the demographic. The kids are the demographic. It's about the kids. Apparently the hot moms too. Apparently I had friends who went and they were like, because every kid there is a 7-year-old, Jalen, Balin, Aylin, Kaylin with every cool, baseball thing. And
that surprises me that you weren't in attendance then. I feel like you would have made that.
Listen, Joe likes it. I asked her if she wanted to go. She said no. I said, okay, that's fine. I got no problem with that.
Brian would love that. She's carrying the torch of real traditional baseball. She's not into all this, TikTok, 7 seconds kind of crap, to being fed to her.
Well, again, like we watched the games, and like it was cool that they brought out Adam and Wieters and Markakis and Buck, and it was funny because Buck came in coaching first base. Somebody walked and there was a guy on third. And again, he could score because they walked and they had to pass the ball around. And the guy did a backflip and landed on home plate. And I was like, I would love to just inject Buck with some truth serum onto like Buck. Like That's where JJ Hardy scored that run, the go-ahead Delman double run, and a guy just backflipped onto the plate. What are your real thoughts on that?
It's probably a reaction like when Augusta National let Bryson and the Dude Perfect guys play frisbee golf at Amen Corner, and Kirk Minahan tweeted, "I watched both of my parents die, and this is the worst thing I've ever seen."
It's just, I would love to hear the real stuff there, but yeah, it was fun watching Adam and Nick.
Shout out to Adam, by the way, biggest honor of his career tonight.
Yeah,
Ravens legend of the game for the preseason.
I'm not getting started on the Ravens stealing another shine from the Orioles. I'm not doing it. I refuse.
Right, listen, there's a lot of shine on the Orioles right now. Definitely.
I will not do it. Congrats to Adam. Going to be a fun weekend for him. So he posted on his Instagram last night the menu of he was at some dinner, and the boy was eating. I've talked to him. We've got some ideas about changing the giveaways too. Because I said I can't wait to get my hands on one of your bobbleheads, and he goes, "We need to do all 40K like the Padres and the Dodgers do." Yeah. And I said, "You mean instead of herding cattle for the first 20,000 to get people in there?" And he said, "I would be pissed if I went to a game and I didn't get one." So,
well, speaking of things getting worse, it's like maybe open up the ballpark a couple hours earlier as well. Like, we're still clinging on to this COVID 1 hour before rule. Like, I feel like I think we've maybe stopped the spread. I think we're on the other side of the bell curve now. We can maybe start to let people in a little earlier again.
Yeah, curve has been flattened. So yeah, I would like to get in the ballpark a little earlier, and we'll see. I know Saturdays are the 2 hours early, but yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, letting it happen writ large. But that's all that. And then I hinted at it earlier, but some unfortunate, but maybe not completely crazy, terrible news. Grayson Rodriguez officially shutting it down for the 2025 season, undergoing elbow debridement surgery. He said something to the effect of removing some chips. We had kind of heard that the TJ word was on the table there, so this doesn't strike me as exactly that. So I think that's kind of encouraging, and it was left on the table that he could be back for the start of 2026.
So somebody, and I forget who tweeted it, I'll try and go back and find it. It may have been Pigtown, but they said this is the same surgery, I believe, that Danny Coulombe got last year in July, and was back, I believe, for September. He obviously wasn't 100% in September, but he was back and pitching on the major league mound. So again, I'll have to go back and look. But yeah, and we talked about it earlier, I think, on the podcast, about how he had some bone chips floating around, and he said it's been something that's bothered him for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's just a thing that he had worked to deal with and learn to deal with. And JCM still had some more good posts being like, "That's fine, and I'll clean up the elbow." But what does that mean? I mean, he's still having the lat issues. So what does that mean? Is he overcompensating? Is it, you see it with guys when they tear their ACL and then their hamstring goes, or their calf, you see it with the calf and the Achilles. You're overcompensating. Your body is trying to make up for this or that. So, cleaning up the elbow is great, and obviously it needs to be done. Nobody is meant to throw a ball 100 miles an hour, let alone doing it 100 times a game. So your elbow is obviously going to wear down, but why is the lat? Why is that constantly popping up? Because I think it was Jake Rill too, who had it on Twitter about just every injury Grayson's had. And yet it's been nothing with, knock on wood. It's never been the UCL. It's never the forearm. It's been shoulder. It's been the back of the elbow, which I guess that's where they said the bone chips were, and the lat. So it's it seems to be everything else but the forearm and the the UCL. So we had heard Tommy John thrown around a little bit, but again, the UCL is on the other side of where I guess they're worried about it. So that's the good thing. And again, I'll have to do some more reading tonight on the Coulombe surgery and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if he can come back, and obviously everyone all off season will say that you can't rely on him, and always going to get hurt again and this and that. And it's okay, that's fine. Ideally you want this to get cleaned up and this problem to go away. But again, I think the lat issue is it's going to be an issue until he can show for an extended period of time that he can stay healthy, and that, that this thing is going to go away. But these weird oblique lat, I'll ask Jim Paul. I have the interview with Palmer on Monday. I'll ask him about, obliques and lats, because Nolan Ryan never did something like that. Palmer never had any of that. It's why is this a thing now for everyone?
Here's what I'll say to that. I love Uncle Jim. It's very possible that he did have all of that.
Oh, probably, but he just pitched through it.
And like they're not throwing as hard. It's not as high intensity. It's not as optimized back then as it is now. So yeah, like although all that perspective is great, but it's just like things are just, a lot different now. But yeah, overall, I think like you hit on some good stuff there. But I would say like you mentioned that the idea that you can't count on him. I think that's the right approach to take, unfortunately, at this point. Like, Trevor Rogers has looked awesome. I'm very content with bringing him and Bradish in as kind of your horses to start 2026. And we'll see what they do with Sagano and Eflin. I'd love to have maybe one of those two back. I'd probably prefer Eflin if I had to make a choice. We'll see about the health perspective with him. I'm not totally sure what's going on there. But yeah, man, I think like ideally you have him back at the start of 2026 and he's the Grayson that we know and love. But man, like I mentioned with the person I was talking to, like go and get yourself 2 number 3s or get yourself a solid number 2 and like a number 4 type guy. Hope that Albert Suarez can maybe become what we saw of him in 2024 to some extent and get yourself like a solid 5-6 as well. And just really just attack this problem head on and like, don't leave any room for error, and also allow Grayson to come back on his own comfortable timeline. Don't pressure him to return too early. I think it would just be better for everyone.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And again, I think, we've said it, but they need to go overboard on pitching. I think, again, you can't just like get one pitcher next year and be like, that's it, job's done, we got him. Let's plug him in and go. Because again, I'm with you. I think you give Grayson as much time as he needs, because we've seen how good he can be when he's healthy. I mean, he has shown very, very good stuff. So that people are like, oh, you just cut him and move on. It's like, no, you're crazy if you're trying to do that. He's still young. Again, his arm does not have many miles on it. Again, it's been shut down a couple of times, but this is a guy who, when healthy, is one of the better pitchers that we've seen. So I think you give this time you give him all the time in the world to heal. And like you said, if you're going into next year with 3 guys of a Bradish, a Rogers, and a Kramer, then again, you can plug in 2 or 3 other guys, like you said, maybe an Eflin, Suarez somewhere in the pen mixed in, something like that. But like we talked about, there's some big name free agents out there. Framber Valdez, Cease, Michael King coming off injury. He's making his first start tonight. So, I think that's the plan. But yeah, I think you go overboard on pitching, because chances are someone is going to get hurt next year and miss an extended period of time. And that's just what's happening with pitchers now. It's not just the Orioles or Grayson or anything like that, but yeah, that has to be their plan going forward. So I am excited to keep tabs on Bradish and Tyler Wells, who are still progressing through Norfolk and making their starts and all that. So fun to watch them and see what they're doing. And again, this is why we watch now. This is why we're still paying attention, to see what Bradish does, to see what Wells does. And these are kind of tryouts for next year. And just to see what we have. So yeah, it sucks for Grayson, a fully lost year, but again, hopefully he's better for it. The team is better for it. And
fully lost, but it's a lost year for the team. And like a guy who, like we said, a lot of health issues at this point, it's probably good in the long run for him to just shut it down. We haven't seen him throw a baseball since like late August or late July, early August of last year. And like, it'll probably be all the better for him to just take, a full year and a half away and just get that body right.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's again, just get him away and just we'll start this thing over and we'll go from there. So
yeah. Comment here from George. I kind of forgot to put this one on the run sheet. Not sure if you boys already hit on this, but what are your thoughts on the Kjerstad news or lack thereof? Good way of framing that. Heston Kjerstad not been in the lineup in Norfolk right now due to fatigue issues. And Tony Mansolino had some kind of cryptic comments about it where he said he was, kind of letting all of that play out and he'd be ready to comment on it when Heston was ready to comment on it. So it sounds like there might be something a little more serious going on there with him. I hope all is well, and I guess we'll know more when we find out, but it's easy to speculate and we don't want to do too much of that. But I mean, for a guy that had a bout of myocarditis during the pandemic of all times, and then obviously took a 100-mile-per-hour fastball to the head last year and has, struggled to find form throughout this year. You hope that all is well and that his career will eventually get back on track. And if not, everything is okay with him personally.
Yeah. And I try, again, those comments, I mean, they were very they seemed very ssimilar to Hyde's comments about Trey in, early March of 2020, when it was like, oh, we're going to let it, we're going to let him address it when he wants to. So, and like you said, I don't know what it is. Obviously my first thought went to the myocarditis and something with his heart or his just overall body and the well-being of his body. I had talked to someone at Norfolk who had told me that I guess his swing speed was down like a significant amount when he was down in Norfolk. It was also that week where it was 100 degrees and felt like 110 out there. So I could only imagine the humidity down there on the water too. But yeah, I don't know anything that's going on. Doesn't really matter at this point either. Like you said, you kind of just hope that he's feeling good, feeling better. I don't know. And we don't want to speculate on what it is, but it's definitely a scary situation. Anytime you kind of get the comments like that, you're kind of take your foot off the gas pedal, and people have been hard on him. I've been hard on him. A lot of folks have. And this is the kind of time where you're like, okay, well, this doesn't need to, you don't need to get your likes off for some, posterizing a guy who is obviously going through something. So you hope he's doing all right. And that he's, if he's not playing baseball, you just hope that he's okay personally and physically. So.
Yeah, so I guess more on that when we get it. That sounds like it's going to come out on pretty much his timeline. So I guess we'll find out then. Anything else we want to hit here before we get going?
I want to shout out Adley. He's been good since he came back. I think he's had like a double in 6 of 7 games or something like that. Like I know when he came back, I think one of the games in Wrigley, they said he had 7 doubles or something like that since he came back, and no one else in baseball had more than like 4. Batting 270 his last 7 games, 291 his last 15, 275 his last 30. So again, lost season. Stinks that he went out when he did because he was kind of rolling, but it seems like he's still doing the damn thing. And this is where I was on a podcast earlier this week, and they asked me what I wanted to see, like, the last couple of weeks of the season, months of the season. And I said, I want to see the young core. I want to see these guys finish strong. I want to see Kowser finish strong. I want to see Jackson hit 300 over the last month. I want to see, Adley hit 310 or have an on-base percentage of 415 or something like that, the last 2 months. And, Gunner's like under the radar raking just because he's not hitting the home runs, but like he's hitting like 320 since the beginning of July. I want to see all that. So same thing with Mayo. You talked about it earlier. That ball he hit in Philly yesterday. Holy shit.
Dude, there's like nothing more aesthetically pleasing right now with this team than when he's fucking turns on one. And like he's only had like 5 home runs in his big league career, but like, man, that one, you're right, that was launched and he just absolutely just let loose on it. Like more of that from him, and I'm gonna start to be like fully sold on him as like an everyday player.
Yeah, and I'm coming around too. Again, it's not as much like him hitting, it's a lot of it for me is like his at-bats. Like he has at-bats where he lays off a pitch and I'm like, oh my God, 2 months ago, he was swinging out of his shoes to try and hit that, 450 feet. And now he's working walks. He's getting again, you look at his average, I think he's still batting like 220 or something like that. But he just seems, it's just like Jackson. He seems much more comfortable. He's not herky-jerky, like in the box, like very uncoordinated. Everything seems to be level and like flowing, and I don't know. He seems to be much more comfortable and getting it. He's one of the guys that gets it now, it seems. So that's only going to get better throughout. His quotes yesterday, I don't know if you saw that, where he said, I come in the clubhouse and they're like, hey man, you suck today. You're playing tomorrow. Guess what? You sucked again today. You're going to be in the lineup tomorrow. And people were like, are they telling him that? And I think Jacob was like, no. What he was trying to say was, the message is, hey, if you have a bad game, it's okay because you're going to play the next day. And it doesn't take Einstein to be like, oh, yeah, no, that helps young guys. And in any work environment, like, hey man, you had a bad day. That's okay. Guess what? You're gonna do well tomorrow. Like that's what everybody, positive reinforcement is okay.
And you've got to, and it's like hey, listen, you got to go earn it, but like we're gonna give you that opportunity to earn it. It's not like in the discussions in spring training where he felt like he was, and he gets sent down, and he's a little pissy about that, and he has some comments that he admitted to regretting a little bit. That even I thought they were a little taken out of context in the moment, but that's gonna happen. And yeah, man, like this is his time to prove his like I said, to prove that he can be an everyday player to open up 2026. And, you know, with Mountcastle's status kind of up in the air at this point, he's looking comfy at first base too. I'll throw it out there. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing him settle in there as a, you know, within that role. So
yeah, he's played much better at first base. Yeah, he's batting 221, 4 home runs, 296 on base percentage, 673 OPS. So again, he's, you know, he's finding it. That's all you can say really. He's finding it. So and again, Mountcastle, I would expect is back sometime this weekend. But yeah, you know, it's going to be interesting how they handle first base, and you would expect both of those guys are going to be in the lineup every single day, either a DH or first base. And you can kind of, my guess is maybe they'll ease Mountcastle back in due to the hamstring and let Kobe handle first base. Maybe they switch it up. But I know Mansolino said the other day, they were like, Kobe will not be playing third base. They were like, we will let that be known.
I think we've seen enough of that.
Yeah. I think we know what happens there. And third base is hard. You know, I got no, you know, he tried it. It didn't work out. You can't shit on a guy for being like, you're an awful third baseman. It's like, yeah, well, not everyone is Brooks Robinson or Adrian Beltre or
Ramon Arias.
Made a great play at second the other night. Great play at second. Real quick too. Andrew says here, yeah, we did this talk a little earlier where I'm even in the camp. I talked about it again on Monday on the podcast I went on. Why can't he be the first extension given out? Trevor Rogers. You know, it would be.
You're in a good spot where it could probably be like a nice little 3-year, like maybe an option in there for him, you know, 2-year option for the player, something like that. You could get creative in a spot like this because, yeah, this could just be a hot streak that he could cash in on. This could be something long-term where if they get something signed right now, they'd be very happy with it. So this could be good for both parties.
4 for 50, 3 for 50, you know, something like that, 3 and an option. Yeah. I mean, who says no to that deal? Again, Rogers, I would assume, would jump at it. I mean, he has seen his career. He has been at the top. He is, you know, plummeted back down, and now he's back on, you know, on the way up. So I would expect that he would, you know, he would love a deal. He would love some, you know, to be locked into a place for a while. And I'm sure he seems like a guy too, where if he's like in and he's on and things are going well, he's going to keep rolling. I mean, we saw, you know, you've heard his comments and all that. So I would assume that if he can get locked down, you know, he's not a guy who's going to get content. I think he's still going to work his ass off and, you know, pitch the way that he knows he can. So I'm a big, you know, Mr. Rogers guy. So it would be a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'll get that out there before Jacob or Wayrich or one of them steals the headline when he signs. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Trevor Rogers extended, you know, something like that. And so I have ownership and right to that. So back off, you bums. Directly to them.
Good. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's proprietary right there. No one ever could have made the Mr. Rogers neighborhood connection with Trevor Rogers. Who would have thought?
No, I don't know. But, you know, I'm the one who publicly did it. I marked my territory here. So. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, as of right now, like, listen, he is the horse right now. Like, literally, he is kind of their top guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been pitching. I think JCM in a nice tweet the other day, the worst performance by Trevor Rogers in a long time. And it's like he, you know, 6 innings of 1-run ball. And it's like, yep, that's where we're at with this guy right now. And it's awesome to see. So kudos to him.
It's funny because like we're still at the point where it's like we were kind of like this with Morton, where like his first start, you're like, all right, that's good, but it was 1 start. And then you're like, all right, well, okay, that's good. But it's 2 starts. It's tiny sample size. And then you're like, all right, it's only been 6 good starts in a row. Like this has to go at some point. And then you're like, maybe it's just not gonna go, you know. Maybe that is like a bad day for him. It's like, oh my God, he gave up 5 hits in 6 innings, you know, like maybe this is just who he is now. And again, that's why I think you go out and you reward a guy like that. But yeah, I don't know. Good for him though. It's fun watching him pitch every 5, especially again, the Phillies have eaten his lunch for you know, for his entire career as well. Well, he was a Marlin. So the fact that he went out there and diced him up like that was awesome to see. So yeah, we're big. Somebody tweeted me and they said we need like a Trevor Rogers in a cardigan bobblehead, like sitting down, taking his cleats off. And I was like, now that I can get behind. Raise season ticket prices to give us that bobblehead. I'm all right with that one. That's good.
Somebody, you know, that's coming because I think somebody tweeted the other day that like their promotional material that they like shoot months in advance, like it's pretty bare bones right now. Like they've got like Albert Suarez videos that they're tweeting out. It's like, you know, that they had all these other videos lined up with like Laureano and O'Hearn and like all these guys. They had to ship them off. So now's the time for the content creators to get T-Rogs there in the studio and get a cardigan on him. get yourself some promo material for next month.
Yep. I'm with you. I believe it. So,
all right, that all we got?
I think so. Again, come on out on Saturday. I'll be at Pickles and going to the game for the Adam game, and then I think like 4 tickets left for Palmer at Jimmy's on Monday. That'll be a fun one, and then and then next week we're kind of off the reservation and up in Milwaukee. My cousin, I have one cousin in Spain right now and one in Italy, and I said, well, next week I'm going to Milwaukee. I said, some people have called that the Spain of the Midwest. So,
yeah.
So
my boss was in like Southern California this week, and he was like, hey, do you want to come out for that trip? I was like, I'm going to be in Milwaukee the next week, and one of my other customers is there. He's like, oh, well, you could turn that into a work trip too. I was like, yeah, I don't think so, but nice suggestion. So yeah, he's like, yeah, fair enough. So
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, if that's all we got, thank you all for tuning in and hanging in with us here as we recapped a week in Orioles baseball that was eventful, if nothing else. And it's going to be an interesting ride the rest of the way. So we'll be tuned in for all of it. Thank you all for listening. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Follow us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast on X, Instagram, and TikTok. I am at Jake Louque. That's LOUQUE on X. Eric is at EDITTI22, Spenny at Ravens4Dummies, that is the number 4 in the middle, Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10, and Brian, soon to be a married man, at Barstool Banks. Thank you all for tuning in once again, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.
See ya.